video for you guys. I always do a bunch of DIY decor and stuff like that for every single season, and this year is no different. If you missed it, we already did a little bit of Christmas shopping over here. We did some in person and also online, so I'll have that playlist linked down below. But I got a lot of inspiration for some pieces that we could definitely make ourselves. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We are going to be duping some other pieces of decor for way less for this Christmas season, and I'm really excited to share them with you guys. You guys know that this is a budget-friendly channel. I really like to make high-end pieces on a budget, so that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. If you like this sort of content and you want to stick around for more, we have some Christmas decorating coming in next week. Make sure that you subscribe down below and you hit that bell to get notified when that video goes live, and leave me a comment below. Let me know what your style is for Christmas. If you like more of a classic style, more woodsy, more elegant, more modern, whatever you fancy, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, like I said, we have some decor to dupe today. We have 3 different ones, and I believe we're going to go ahead and get started. Alright, so the first project we're going to make is this little pair of trees. We looked at this on Target a few weeks back when I was looking at all of their Target Christmas decor. If you haven't seen that video, it's full of all kinds of affordable decor, and you may be thinking, why are we making something that's affordable? Well, we can make it for cheaper, and I didn't see them at my store, so I didn't end up picking them up this year. So I formulated a sort of plan to make some of our own. So the first thing I had to figure out was how I was going to get wood chips. We don't have any wood chips. We have like mulch around our house, but we have no wood chips that look anything like the picture does for this product. So yesterday on my way home from college, I decided to stop at a park and see if I could get a few handfuls of wood chips. And I, of course, don't condone if you need any more than a few handfuls of wood chips to take things from a public area. That's not what I'm talking about. If I needed a whole big ton of it, then I would not do that. But long story short, they weren't exactly what I was thinking, and it was honestly kind of a sketchy, weird experience. I have a slight fear that I'm gonna get attacked by a deer or a raccoon or something. So we are here now. I was up at 3 a.m. this morning and saw that Walmart had some wood chips. Why I was up at 3 a.m. is a very long story, but they had them for $2.62 for each bag, and this is what I got. They're technically smoking chips, but I really liked the size of them. The ones that are made in the threshold line with Target are like really big pieces of wood, and that is exactly what I needed. They're not exactly the right color, or like I guess the correct stain. We might try to do a little sort of painting effect afterwards. I don't think I'll actually be able to stain these because I think they're actually treated with something because they're smoking chips. So this is what we got, and we got so much for less than $3, so highly recommend. But the first thing that I want to work on tonight is the base, because I want it to dry. So I think I want to take some cardstock, and I'll kind of show you guys what I'm thinking for the base. And honestly, I don't think it really matters what colors, as long as they're super thick. They're gonna get covered up anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So I guess we'll choose a blue and yellow. Oh, and need to get some tape. Now, of course, for this project, there are a lot of products you could use for the base. I know that they make styrofoam cones, and they also make like cardboard ones. I did look at the cardboard ones at Hobby Lobby the last time I went a few weeks ago, and they were like $6. And I already have these, and these cost like, what, 15-20 cents each. So this is a really, really good option, and I'm hoping that we can get a pretty good height on these guys. I need to get some scissors. Obviously was not prepared. On the website, they have a big one and a small one sort of paired together, and I feel like that would just be really, really pretty for this. So I want to make 2 different sizes. So I think we're just gonna make a basic cone here. Gonna have it meet up at this corner. And it doesn't need to be perfect, like my end here isn't closed, and it's not a big deal. Just get it as close as you can. That's the wonder of it. We're going to cover it up, and like I said, you're not even going to be able to see any of this paper. So I think about this wide is proportionate to what you see on the website, so I'm just going to tape this into place. Because this is just Scotch tape, I'm also going to put some on the inside, and I'm just going to cut off that little flap there. Like I said, it doesn't need to be perfect, but I don't want that sticking out because I don't want our wood chips to be sticking out. So the next thing we need to do is sort of level off this bottom. I don't really have a foolproof way of doing this, but we're just gonna sort of guess. So I'm gonna try to aim to make it about as tall as the shortest part of the paper, if that makes sense. I feel like that looks pretty good, and honestly, once we put like wood chips and stuff here, I feel like it's gonna lift it up a little bit and just give it a little bit of height, so we can really make sure that those are lined up and that it sits up straight. Got our first one, and now I'm just gonna cut one that's probably 2 to 3 inches shorter than this one. We have our 2 trees, and I don't think I mentioned this, but I did use 12 by 12 cardstock you can get at Hobby Lobby. But like I said, they're a little rigid on the edges, and the outside doesn't need to be perfect, and that's where our next step is going to come in. So up next, I have this little container of spackling. I just got this from my local grocery store. I believe I showed this, come on camera, focus. I believe I showed this to you guys a few DIY videos ago. I used it to coat a vase, I think, and what we want to do to give these a little bit of heft, to give them a little bit of structure, I'm going to be covering the whole entire thing in plaster, and we're going to let it dry overnight. So what I'm going to do is get some little sort of latex gloves. This is pretty thin, so you can just sort of glide it on there. I'll try to link something similar below. This is one of those things where it's not very expensive to begin with, but it also lasts you a long time and has multiple uses, especially in the world of DIY. But we're going to cover these entirely, kind of do a medium-ish layer. I don't want to do it super thick, and then in the morning we can finish these up, get all the wood chips on, and sort of give it its finishing touches.
It's white outside and the night is cold. Everyone's lighting candles in their homes. Yes, it's Christmas. It's a magic time. You can feel it in the air, that every child got their hearts filled up with joy. Yes, it's Christmas all around.
Good morning, it is the next day, and these are completely dry. They're still a little bit flimsy. So what I'm going to do is align the inside with a few of these popsicle sticks. I also have some that are like yellow and green. I don't have any other use for them. So I'm gonna hot glue those around the inside, and then we'll go in with our wood chips. We're gonna work from the bottom to the top. I think that'll just give us the better look, and that's how it is in the picture. I'm going to go ahead and finish up this project, and I'm excited to see how they're going to turn out. So as I said, these trees now are a lot heavier, they're a lot heftier and feel more like substantial, but we do need to add a little bit of form to them and give them a little bit of support since it still is a bit flimsy. So you can use any sort of skewer, popsicle stick, and I just wrapped it all around the bottom with some hot glue, and then I'm making a little cross on the bottom to make sure that it sort of stays that way and keeps its shape. And this is actually a really good way to give it structure. It is definitely not going to break if you drop it, and it just makes it look even more real and high end. So now we're starting with our wood chips. Again, I got these from Walmart. I'll have them linked down below. We didn't end up doing any sort of dry brushing on them just because I liked the natural feel of them, but if you did want to do that, you could definitely do so. So this involves a little bit of a learning curve. I will tell you, you're going to need a lot more hot glue than you think on each piece, and some of them would fall off because it'd be hard for it to sort of adhere to that plaster, but you just re-glue it, and I haven't had any sort of problems after that. So I worked from the bottom to the top, and once you get to the top, you're going to start using smaller pieces to fill in, and then all you have to do is take off those glue strings because that is going to ruin our high-end look. But this is how it turned out, and I think it looks so pretty. It looks super similar to the Threshold with Studio McGee trees, and we made them for so much less. It only cost me a few dollars each to make these. I believe they're both at least $10 to $15, maybe $20. colors. So such a good dupe, so pretty. I feel like this is such a classic look for Christmas. You could use it on a shelf, in a tablescape, in a little village. There's just so many different possibilities for this decor piece. Alright, so after making those trees, let's get into some ornaments. And we didn't really look at any of these when we were doing any of our shopping. I actually found a lot of these on Etsy, and a lot of them were like super personalized and fun. It's basically making your own clay and making little imprints in them of things that you like, things that go with your theme, stuff like that. So let's start walking through that DIY process. Alright, I need a break from homework and not fun stuff, so let's get into the next project. I'm wearing like a paint shirt, snowflake pajama pants, because 'tis the season. I have this really fun like inspiration for some clay ornaments, and I thought it was going to be really fun and very doable, very appropriate for this video because I found a recipe for actually making clay. I'll link it below, but I'll also walk you through it. For this DIY, I don't have like a specific sort of inspiration, a specific sort of ornament that I'm trying to recreate. I really just have a bunch of different ones that I got inspiration from. But there are a bunch of these all over Etsy. There's a bunch that you can just buy from like Target and Walmart and stuff like that, and I thought it'd be fun to make some of our own. And if you have kids or something like that, I feel like this would be super fun. You could do little handprints or anything like that, and I just think it'd be really fun to mess around with it, make some fun shapes. And some of them had like foliage or like florals on them, so I have some florals and things in the living room, and we can also go get some like pine needles or something like that and just have a lot of fun with it. So I believe we're going to move to the stove, and that's where we're going to start the clay making process. For this clay recipe, we're going to start again at the stove with half a cup of cornstarch, 1 cup of baking soda, and then 3/4 cup of water. It also says if you wanted to dye it a different color, add the food coloring to the water before adding it in. Now on medium heat, we are going to stir it for a few minutes until it becomes like smooth mashed potatoes, which is what the blog post says, which is exactly what we have right here. And once you get to that stage, you're going to put it in a bowl, and then you're going to cover it with a damp cloth or a damp paper towel, and we're going to let it cool completely. For me, it took about 20 to 30 minutes until it's easy to work with and obviously not hot anymore. So now that it's all cooled off, we're going to take out some parchment paper, and we're going to knead the dough for a few minutes until it gets nice and smooth. And something that I didn't do after this step was cover it again with a damp towel. Mine dried out a little bit, which resulted in some cracked ornaments later on. So once you're done working with it, make sure to cover it, and while you're working with it, you cover the portions that you're not using. And now we're going to roll it out. Instead of using flour to make it not stick to our surface, we're going to use some cornstarch. I'm just going to spread a little bit of that all over the parchment paper and a little bit on our rolling pin, and we're just going to roll it out. This is a really soft dough. I was really impressed with how fluffy it was, and it was just really easy to work with. We're going to roll it out to about 1/4 inch thick, and if you see some air bubbles, just pop those with a little paring knife or a toothpick or something like that and continue to roll it out. Once we have our thickness, it's time to cut out our shapes. Like I said, this isn't a specific ornament or anything that I was inspired by, just a bunch that I saw online. So I have some circle cookie cutters as well as a paring knife to make our shapes. So I started with a few circles, and then later you'll see that I made some rectangles, I made some arches, and just a bunch of fun different shapes. There's lots of things you could do with this. Again, if you have kids, this would be a really fun way to let them get all of their creative energy out and have a lot of fun making these ornaments for the holidays, and then they can display it on the tree and they would absolutely love it. What you're seeing me do here is put a piece of plastic wrap over the top. I've seen this on the internet where you do this with a cookie cutter and it sort of rounds your edges. So I cut out a few of those, and you can definitely see the difference between the one that we just cut with the cookie cutter and the one that has the rounded edges. So there's a bunch of different ways that you could do this. You could even look up some cookie hacks or something like that. There are a bunch of things you could do with this, just be creative with it. So now that we have all of our basic shapes cut out for the ornaments, I want to go outside and see if I can get any of my animals, cats, dog, to do their little footprint, and maybe I'll like write their name and the year or something. It may go well, it may not. So I think it's gonna be really cute. And then I'll do some of the more like aesthetic florals, pine needles, different textures and stuff like that. But hopefully this works really well. All right, let's try this. It's not a treat, puppy. Can you sit? You gotta stand up. Shake. Got a wet cloth to wipe off her paw. Just in case you were in the mud. Hey, I'm not giving you belly rubs. Fine, you can have a belly rub, but I need your paw. Ready? And we're gonna go like this. Good girl. It's a little dirty and a little cracked, but that's okay. What kitty wants to do an ornament? Ferb, you look like you're ready. No, Candace. You made me ruin it. And then we have, hey, that was adorable. Then we have one more. All right, Candace, you want to be first this time? I just need your paw for a second. Good job. Oh, that was so cute. Ferb, come here, buddy. Easiest way is to pick them up. I'm gonna do it right next to your sisters, okay? Good job, Ferb. I'm gonna put this inside and go find Phineas. All right, we got Phineas. Say hi, buddy. Time to do the last paw print. Okay, ready? Good job. Oh, careful. All right, I'll say that was partially a success. Now we're going to gather some materials. Some of the ornaments that I saw online had pine needles and pine cones, so I went out to my backyard and grabbed a few of those things, as well as some fake flowers that you'll see here in a minute. But I think these are really fun to make very minimal but very nature inspired ornaments. And we're going to lay out our ornaments here, and we're going to simply just press them into it. Now there are a couple notes that I sort of learned while I was going through this process. If you press down really far, the farther you press, the more likely it is to crack, and that's really important. And like I said earlier, I did not cover the clay that I wasn't using when I wasn't using it, obviously. So make sure that you cover that with plastic wrap or a damp towel as you imprint all of these. And I'm using a little frosting tip, just a plain circular one, to make our hole in the top. That way we can string it through.
I'm happy you're here, my winter wonderland.
And next we're going to be putting these in the oven. I just laid a piece of parchment paper down just to make sure there's going to be no sticking, and I laid everything down in a single layer. And these are going to go in a 175-degree oven for 1 hour, and halfway through you're going to flip them over. So 30 minutes facing upright and 30 minutes facing down.
It feels like I'm a kid, like I'm forever young.
After they come out of the oven, this is what they're going to look like. As you can see, there is a little bit of cracking, and as mine sat for longer, they did crack. I also did drop them, so I would not suggest doing that, but I think they look pretty good. And we are going to give them their final touches and style them on the tree. So I have one of my favorites here, and I'm just going to take this little roll of twine. You can use whatever you'd like, and this little roll of ribbon. So we're first going to string the twine through the hole in the ornament, and I'm going to tie a knot down at the base. That way it's secure at the base of the ornament. And then I'm going to tie a knot at the top, leaving a 2 to 3 inch gap. We're going to trim off the excess, and then we're going to add that ribbon. I just wanted to add a little bit of color. I think I got this from like Dollar General or Dollar Tree, and we're just going to tie it around the base and tie a little bow, trimming off the excess. And there's so many different things you can do with this DIY. You could even paint the little imprints that are on your ornaments. I just didn't have time for that, and I didn't really have any ideas, but you could also add different ornaments. You could use different colored twines or yarn. There's so many different things you could do, and I love the fact that all those materials are super easy to attain, and they're super affordable, and you can have a lot of fun making some really elegant and simplistic ornaments for your tree and make it look super classy and elegant.
All I wanna do is spend this holiday with you. Tomorrow it is Christmas, the first for me and you.
And last but not least, if you guys watched my 2022 design trends, you guys know that landscape paintings and just very nature paintings are a lot more popular than signs this time of year. And I personally love this, especially if you're someone like myself that doesn't like to be super precise when I'm painting. It's just very free flowing, and you can just kind of make it whatever you'd like. So I have a little hack for you guys to sort of reuse some different wall decor that I already had and turn it into something beautiful for our kitchen. And I just think it's going to add a very classic wintry landscape, very fresh feel to our kitchen. So for this painting, I really wanted to do something somewhat simple but very wintry. That way I could leave it up for Christmas, but also through like February or March, which is when winter pretty much ends here in Michigan. But I went through some different landscape paintings and things online, and I came across these two. Now at first, I could not decide between the two of them. I really love them both. I love the rustic feel of them, and I honestly could not decide. So I went on my Instagram and polled you guys to see what you guys thought, and unfortunately ended in like a 50-50 tie. It was pretty much right down the middle. I'm just going to choose the one that was barely winning, which was this little cottage in a snowy sort of little winter wonderland, and I think it's so pretty. Both of these paintings were priced from $50 to $60. They're both like on clearance or something like that, so that's insane. So I think it'd be really fun to make that for ourselves. Now the little hack that I want to show you guys has to do with this little sign here. So if I can get this out of here, I can show you what's underneath. Wow, he really got this to fit really well into here. Okay, so this is not coming out, but essentially under here it has like a bunch of pumpkins, and it says blessed on it, and it's like a very like fall sign. But since it has this little frame on it, I had my dad cut a piece of cardboard to fit it to size perfectly, so that way we could put the painting on there and switch it out. Whether I'm going to be able to get that out or not, I do not know. I'm going to leave that for future Brooke to deal with. But we are going to put the little winter painting on here, and this fits perfectly right above our kitchen sink, like above the window and everything. So I just think it's going to look really cute. And if you haven't really put the pieces together yet, I would suggest making it a little bit smaller than this, just so you can more easily remove it. So we're going to mix up some colors. I'm going to sort of figure out the sort of tones in the painting, and we're going to try to emulate that onto here. So let's get started. To start this painting, we are first going to be taping off our frame. Of course, mine was a little too snug, so if I was able to get it out of there, I would have just taken it out of the frame and painted it without any tape, so that way I didn't need to worry about it. But if you're in the same boat as I am, taping it off and taking that extra precaution is always a good idea. So we're going to do that, and I'm going to make note of where the little hangers are on the back and put a piece of tape at the top, just so I know where the top is and I don't accidentally paint it upside down. So now we're going to mix our colors. I'm using acrylic paint, therefore it's not going to blend super easily because it does dry faster than like an oil paint or anything like that. But I'm going to be mixing all of our colors. It's mostly a variation of blues and greens. It has more of a green tinge to it, but there is a little bit of blue in there. So I'm going to make a light blue, a sort of green color, a lighter green, a very, very dark green, and then a green that's a little bit lighter. It really just depends on the painting you're trying to emulate. You just need to look at the tones and try to cover all of those colors, which is another thing I love about this painting. There really aren't that many. So to start out, we're going to start with our snow at the bottom. My brush wasn't completely clean, I realized, but it's no big deal. We're going to be blending colors together anyway. So I'm going to be working super fast trying to get this layer of snow down, and I'm trying to emulate the painting as much as I can. Of course, mine is a different shape, so I'm just going to sort of elongate it and make it look as close as possible. So now I'm starting with some of the darker colors at the bottom, at the horizon there, and then going in with the lighter colors and going back and forth between both colors to blend the edges where they meet. You may notice that I don't wipe off my brush at any point in time. I really just like to mix the colors and make it look super natural. Once we have our horizon and we have our sky all done, I'm going to start adding in the basic shape of our house. I'm starting with just a white and going in with a few darker tones just to make those shadows and also differentiate what looks like to be two different buildings from each other. And then I'm going in with that really dark sort of green color, almost black, for the roof. And I'm going to be adding in all of those colors and just making it look as much like the house as possible with the door and the windows. And then later we're going to add in a few trees behind it just to emulate what's going on in the painting. Now that we have our our house, our little cottage, we are going to be putting in our trees. I went in with that very, very dark green color, and I'm just going to be making some random tree trunks and some branches. I did try to replicate the ones in the painting that were closest to the house, but it doesn't need to be perfect. And now we're going in with our leaves. Now looking at the painting, I could tell that they went from darkest to lightest, so I'm starting with my second darkest green, going it to a medium tone green, and then I'm going in with white. And I put a lot more white on there than I did the other colors, just because that seemed to dominate in the painting. And then I'm adding a few details to one side of the tree with the white to sort of make it look snow covered and give it some dimension. And then we're also going to be doing the same thing on the other side. And another thing I want to mention is I'm using just a plain square tipped paintbrush and using it sideways and just making little dots to look like leaves. And now to finish off the painting, I noticed there were a couple little deer sitting in front of the house, so I'm going in with my darker green and building on it with some lighter colors to give them some dimension. And this just looks really good, especially with all the different details we made in the snow, and it just finishes it off and makes it super cute and timeless. And now we're going to take off our paint tape and we're going to reveal the painting. And this turned out so good. I love the colors of it. It turned out a little bit more blue than the painting that we were trying to replicate, but I think it's so elegant and pretty, and I think this is a really great way to downsize on artwork and reuse things that you already have for different seasons. And you could put this on some sort of console, you could hang it up. There's so many different options for this piece of art. Alright you guys, that is the end of today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and let me know which one was your favorite down in the comments below, or if there are any that you're going to be making for yourself. I had so much fun putting all of these together, and I think they turned out so pretty, and I just love making dupes for different decor and just making them for a lot less and just kind of making them your own. So make sure you subscribe down below for Christmas decorating coming next week, which is super exciting. But anyway, I hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday season so far, and I cannot wait to see you in next week's decorating video. Bye!